Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Christy Maida. I am the Teacher Education Praxis Coordinator at Colorado State University, Pueblo. And my position is to help students pass Praxis
You're awesome. I
exams.
just have to tell you you are awesome.
Thank
Man,
you.
I just love you. You are amazing. Just your voice.
Thank you. So I help teachers pass Praxis exams and pre-service teachers pass Praxis exams. So I've been in this position for about a year, and in that year we've developed this program to include tutoring services for students and also resources for students so that they could get some help in passing. So just a little bit about Praxis. Praxis is a state required test. It's put out by ETS, or Educational Testing Service. Praxis is one of the series that has been approved by the state and by, I believe, about 36 states in the United States for teacher licensure. And so these tests need to be passed the semester before student teaching begins, but it is a state requirement that these are passed. And so depending on what your coursework looks like, what field of education you decide to pursue, those tests would vary. And so if you're interested in elementary education, that is a 4-part test. It's and it can be taken in a couple different ways. It can be taken each subtest by subtest, or it can be taken as one large test. So if students choose to take it as one large test, the code is 5001. It's a 4-hour and 15-minute test. It consists of reading language arts, math, social studies, and science. And each of the 4 subtests have to be passed with a minimum passing score. And so if they're not passed, or if any of the subsections are not passed, those can be retaken. ETS requires that you wait 3 weeks between the time that you attempt them, or between the time that you missed it and the time that you take it again. So that test is kind of the most popular one around here because we have so many students majoring in liberal studies and wanting to teach elementary education. That test is $170, and like I said, it's a 4-hour and 15-minute test. Some students are finding that they're passing at higher rates when they break the test up into subsections. So, for instance, a student might just want to take math. For instance, they feel that maybe they're really strong in that subject area. They can take math and that's it, and wait for the other ones. That score remains valid for 10 years. So students usually aren't in feeling pressured at that point, maybe if they take it early on. So for PCC students, this might be really helpful when you are deciding your major and you decide that, let's say you want to pursue a liberal studies degree, you want to teach elementary education. At any point in time, you can absolutely take your Praxis exams. The only one that I don't recommend liberal studies students taking is the reading portion of that elementary subtest, just because it has a lot of pedagogy on it and you'd want to have your methods courses done before you pass that or attempt that test. However, if you wanted to try to take math or social studies or science, those would all be really appropriate tests to take earlier on, maybe when you're taking more of those general education courses. Your scores can be reported to Colorado Department of Education or CDE. And also, if you're planning to transfer to CSU Pueblo, you can absolutely have your scores reported here. They just stay on file. So the earlier the better, and studying for those, the earlier the better. There's really not a point in time where you should wait except for that reading one. So that's pretty much the elementary one. A lot of people are looking at early childhood education as well. If you're interested in teaching anywhere from birth to 8 years old, so in the state of Colorado that would license you through 3rd grade, that is a different test. That's a different Praxis exam, and that's 5024. That is completely different in nature. So that's just a 2-part test. There's some multiple choice questions or selected response, and there's also some constructed response or written essay type things that you need to do. Again, preparing for that really early would be best. And it can be taken at any time. I do recommend waiting on that one just a little bit if you're not totally sure about your coursework, because again, that would just allow you, if you're interested in teaching younger children, it would just allow you to teach up to 3rd grade, which is great. Some of you might want to do that, so that would be fantastic. And then there's also there's Praxis Test for single subject areas. So these are people who want to teach math or social studies or Spanish. those are different Praxis tests, and all of those have a different code. Those are single subject, and so if you wanted to teach PE, for example, you can take 5091, which is all about physical education. There is some pedagogy in that too, so usually students wait until their junior year or so to take that one, but that would also be a different Praxis exam. So these tests are they're not cheap. They range anywhere from $120 to $170, and then they do need to be paid if they are not passed. So for instance, if you failed one of the subtests or if you failed any of the tests, you would have to pay that fee again. The exception being on the elementary exam. I said it was $170. That $170 covers all 4 subtests. If you were to miss any, it's $60 per subtest. Or if you just wanted to take them one by one, it's $60 per subtest. So you might be thinking, well, $240, so 60 times the 4 subtests, that's $240. I'm going to save some money taking it as a big test. Yes, you absolutely will. However, students are passing at better rates when they do take them, which in the long run could mean that you're actually saving some money. So that's kind of the lowdown. Like I said, they're not cheap. There are fee waivers that you can apply for. So I have some of that criteria on the PowerPoint. If you qualify for that criteria, ETS will allow you 1 Praxis test per year, per calendar year, that they will pay for if you qualify. Those fee waivers need to be done about 3 months before you test. It's kept on file on your Praxis account. And the PowerPoint will also show you where you can register for that. It's ets.org. To create an account is free. You can do that at absolutely any time. Just keep your account information updated. So if you have a name change or anything like that, you definitely want to make that match your identification. So you can definitely get a fee waiver. Again, it's once a year. So if you are taking that elementary one, I highly recommend using that fee waiver for the $170 test, because you're definitely, even if you pass 3 of the subsections, you've already saved some money there. So there is that. Also, if English is not your primary or first language, you can also apply for a PLNE accommodation. If that is approved, and I can absolutely help you with the approval process of that, you do get extra time. It's time and a half on the exams, which can really help some brilliant minds process that language. So that's another thing. Some tests are also offered ongoing. That means you can take them at any point in time. The elementary one, for example, is an ongoing test. If you signed up today, you could probably get a seat by the end of the week. It's not hard to do. However, some tests like Spanish are really only offered 3 times a year. So if you are planning to be a Spanish major, this means you want to teach Spanish in schools, please contact me soon. It's not too soon to really get some good information, because, like I said, these tests are not offered very often, and you definitely want to get ahead of it and plan at least a year in advance for that one. Some of the other ones are offered during certain test windows, like the early childhood education one is offered once a month for about 10 days per month. So every month it's offered, but only during certain testing windows. So you'll definitely want to be ahead of, get ahead of this. This is why we're talking about this now, just so that you have some good information there. So this is a lot. It's a lot to process. However, I'm here to help with all of this. And so what I can do is I can really, speak to you early about this. And that's like one of the best things that you could possibly do in preparing for this test, is getting those resources early. I have online resources available for you. When you become a student here, you can definitely check out some study guides. I have study guides for every single test, and if I don't have one, I can absolutely get you one to borrow. I have tutoring services available. Right now, we're doing all tutoring virtually through our online platform here at CSU Pueblo, which is called WC Online. I used to have drop-in tutoring, but for COVID purposes right now I don't. But I have a tutor for every subject, and if I don't, I can get you one. And this is at no cost to students here at CSU Pueblo. Again, getting those resources early, starting to think about these tests. I can absolutely, as a PCC student, connect you with the resources that you need to prepare for this, and then when you become a student here, those resources would definitely change to support you in different ways as well. What else? Costs, help.
What about, you talked to us last year let's say I'm a high school math teacher, I could go ahead and take the history, the English, and it would be on my license?
Yeah, it's going to be on your account right now with ETS. And so when it comes time for you to finish your coursework, your student teaching, all of that just stays on your account with CDE. So yes, it would be there. So you absolutely can take them at any time. Some of them I definitely would recommend waiting a little bit longer. Those single subject people probably want to wait just a little bit longer just to get into that coursework. But multiple subject people, our elementary people, they can definitely take those subtests early, except for the reading one. I wouldn't recommend taking the reading one early.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I think that unless there's other questions, I think that's pretty much it. But definitely contact me. Like I said, it's not too early to prepare. It's not too early to start thinking about this. Be sure you definitely want to go into teaching and you want to go into education, because I wouldn't want you taking a test without you kind of being on the fence. So if you're committed to this, some of you are very committed from a very, very young age. I know when I was 10, I wanted to be a teacher, and so for me that was a pretty solid path. And it can be done. You might have heard that these tests are hard. That's subjective, right? That is hard for some people. It's not hard for other people. I've had people score perfect scores on these tests. I've had some people really struggle and have taken it multiple times. So it really just depends on you, and it depends on your study plan. It depends on the resources you get early. You absolutely can pass these. We just need to find you the right resources, and maybe you're your best resource. Maybe just having a study guide might be enough for you. So again, it really just depends on every person. I'm happy to create a study plan for you at any point in time, regardless of your student status here, and answer any questions you might have as well. So, okay. One thing I forgot to mention is that Praxis right now is being offered in a couple of different formats. So if you are ready to take Praxis, or when you are ready to take Praxis, and we are still in a pandemic, ETS is offering Praxis online right now, a Praxis at home. And what this means is that you have a couple of different options. So as long as testing centers are open, which as we are filming this right now, they are open. Our closest testing center right now is in Colorado Springs. We do have one on campus, but unfortunately due to COVID restrictions, we're not allowed to open the lab right now. However, that hopefully will change, fingers crossed. But right now, Praxis is actually being offered through Praxis at Home. So when you go to register for the test, you can choose which option you'd like to do. So maybe you want to go to a testing center, that's great. No worries, as long as all the health and safety precautions are taken, you absolutely can do that. You do have to schedule that in advance when you register for the test. The second option you're going to be given is Praxis at Home. Praxis at Home is just that. You can sit in the comfort of your own bedroom, living room, whatever, as long as it has 4 walls and a door, and you are virtually monitored or proctored actually through a company called ProctorU. ProctorU has proctored millions of tests online. They use even some AI to help with the process. But if you choose Praxis at Home, it's of no extra cost to you. You might feel more comfortable in your own home doing this, as long as your system requirements meet what the standards are. So for most people, they do. If you have a laptop that has a webcam of any kind, you should be fine. And you can take the test in your home. They do ask you to scan the room and kind of make sure that you didn't have notes and things like that out. You need to have your identification, just as if you were in a testing center. They do require that you have a table or desk that you're sitting at, not sitting on your bed. But that's just another way, another option, especially if you're not comfortable going into testing centers, or you're just more comfortable in your own home. I took the GRE that way, and I was very comfortable. It was fantastic. You can be in your pajamas and take this test. They are not going to judge you. So just another option to think about, and that absolutely can change at any time. Testing centers can close. I know for at least the next 3 months we do have Praxis at Home option, but again, that can change too. I hope they stick with it though. It's a nice option for people. So.
Well, on behalf of Pueblo Community College and EDU 221, you are going to be on speed dial, my friend, because we want to not only do well, we want to excel in these areas.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
You are a great resource, and thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.